They thought it was just another muddy rock. But when that massive golden boulder rose from the earth, it wasn't just gold, it was a symbol. A symbol of hope, of stolen futures, and a broken system. This isn't just a story about Ghana. This is about your phone, your jewelry, your world. Because what's hidden in the mud of Africa fuels the wealth of the West. And what happens next might just change everything. The golden discovery that shook the world deep in the western lands of Africa, beneath layers of ancient rock and time-worn soil, something extraordinary was uncovered, an unprecedented gold rock weighing over 300 kilograms. This was not just any discovery. It was the largest naturally occurring gold formation ever found on the African continent. The country of Ghana, rich in mineral wealth yet often trapped in economic hardship, suddenly found itself at the center of global attention. But the real story isn't about just a rock. It's about power. It's about who controls the land, who profits, and who truly owns the resources buried deep beneath Africa's soil. The news spread quickly. The golden rock had been found by local miners working independently in a rural area. At first, it seemed like a story of fortune and luck. But as authorities and foreign investors caught wind of the discovery, what followed was a chaotic scramble. Government officials rushed to the site. Security forces moved in. Claims were filed. And just like that, what belonged to the earth, and to the people, was no longer theirs. This massive find revealed more than a shiny surface. It exposed a system where local communities, who do the hardest labor under dangerous conditions, often benefit the least. While the world celebrates Africa's mineral wealth, the people living next to the mines remain in poverty, their environments degraded, and their voices silenced. Ghana, one of the top gold-producing countries in the world, has long been home to such contradictions. Foreign companies have operated mines for decades, extracting billions of dollars worth of gold, yet many mining towns lack access to clean water, electricity, or schools. This new discovery brought all those tensions to light once again. The local miners who found the rock believed they had finally struck life-changing luck. But shortly after, military forces surrounded the area. Government agencies declared the zone a protected national asset. Within days, the golden rock was removed under strict surveillance. The finders? They were told to leave. Some were detained for illegal mining, others simply disappeared into silence. International media picked up the headlines, "World's largest gold rock found in Ghana." But what they didn't show was the people left behind, the ones who dug with their hands, carried the weight, and believed for a brief moment that their lives might change. Experts from Canada, Australia, and China began arriving for analysis. Mining companies filed exploration claims. Diplomatic missions started making inquiries. Ghana's government promised transparency, yet no public disclosure was made about the rock's final destination or the profits expected. This story is not just about a moment. It's a mirror of history. For centuries, Africa has been known for its vast natural resources, gold, diamonds, oil, cobalt, yet time and again, the people closest to those resources are the ones most marginalized. The discovery of this massive gold rock is a symbol of that continued struggle. It asks us to consider, who gets to benefit from natural wealth? Is it the multinational corporations who come with machinery and contracts? Or is it the local people whose ancestors lived on that land for generations? As the dust settles over the excavation site, bigger questions remain. Ghana is now at a crossroads. Will it use this discovery to empower its citizens, invest in its communities, and lead a new chapter of resource fairness? Or will the gold once again slip into the hands of the few, leaving behind empty promises and abandoned villages? This is more than a gold rush. This is a test of justice, of sovereignty, and of what kind of future Africa will claim for itself. In Part 2, we dive deeper into the political reactions, international interests, and the unfolding mystery of where this legendary rock has gone, and who might actually own it now. The gold that caught the world's eye as news of Ghana's golden rock spread, the international spotlight intensified. But this was not a story of celebration. It was a race. A race between nations, corporations, and political players, each determined to stake a claim in what could be the most valuable mineral find in decades. In just a few days after the discovery, delegations from powerful countries began arriving quietly. Representatives from China, the United States, and even lesser-seen actors like Turkey and the UAE requested closed-door meetings with Ghanaian officials. What was said behind those doors remains undisclosed, but the implications were clear. This was not just a national matter, it was global. China, already heavily invested in Africa through mining and infrastructure, saw an opportunity. The Belt and Road Initiative had already tied several African countries to Chinese capital. But this golden rock, untouched by bureaucracy and not yet claimed under major corporate licenses, represented raw leverage. A direct channel to gold without intermediaries. Chinese companies offered technical help for analysis and preservation. Others offered surveillance systems to protect the national asset. In return, there were promises of future infrastructure investments. Roads, bridges, even hospitals. But observers noted that these investments always came with long-term repayment clauses, collateral in the form of land, and influence over national policy. At the same time, Western mining giants from Canada and Australia reached out with legal expertise and extraction technology proposals. "We can help manage this responsibly," they said. "Let us help Ghana get the maximum return." Yet many of these companies already operate in Africa and have faced criticism for exploiting resources while leaving little for local communities. The real message behind their offers? Secure access before China does. The U.S., though late to the table, wasn't silent either. Its diplomats began raising concerns about security risks and transparent governance, suggesting international oversight. But to many Ghanaians, this sounded familiar, another attempt by the West to control African wealth under the banner of good governance. Meanwhile, within Ghana itself, tension grew. Civil society groups demanded transparency. Where was the gold rock now? Who had it? What were the terms being discussed with foreign powers? The government issued brief statements. The asset is secure. All actions are in the national interest. But few details followed. Opposition politicians began using the event as a symbol of corruption and secrecy. Protests started to form in mining towns, calling for local ownership and revenue sharing. University students, activists, and journalists tried to trace the movement of the rock, some claiming it had already been flown to a secured facility under military escort. Others feared it might quietly disappear, sold off before the public ever learned the truth. In Africa, discoveries like this have long been a double-edged sword. Rich in natural resources, the continent has often suffered from what economists call the resource curse. Gold, oil, and diamonds have not always led to wealth, but to conflict, environmental damage, and elite enrichment. Ghana now faces a turning point. Will it follow the path of past mistakes, where profits flow outward and communities are left behind? Or can it break the cycle and set a new precedent for how African nations manage their treasures? Foreign interests are circling, but so is public awareness. For the first time in years, a natural resource discovery has ignited a nationwide debate, not just in Ghana, but across the African continent. Social media is flooded with questions. Why aren't we being told the truth? Where is the gold now? Who really owns what's found on our land? These are not just emotional questions, they are political ones. They go to the heart of sovereignty, trust, and justice. In Part 3, we'll uncover the deeper economic forces behind the scenes, the private companies, silent investors, and offshore entities waiting to convert gold into influence. What's happening in Ghana isn't just about one rock. It's about who controls the future of Africa's wealth. The hidden hands behind the gold. While Ghanaian officials gave limited statements about the golden rock's future, a far more complex and quiet struggle was unfolding behind closed doors. This wasn't just about diplomacy anymore, it was about capital. About the global financial machine that knows how to turn natural resources into power without ever setting foot in a mine. As the world watched Ghana's discovery, private companies and investors mobilized faster than governments. These weren't just mining companies with logos and shovels. These were offshore entities, anonymous holdings, and hedge funds operating through layers of legal complexity. Within days of the discovery being announced, shell companies registered in places like the British Virgin Islands, Luxembourg, and Singapore began applying for mineral exploration rights in Ghana. Some were directly tied to well-known mining giants, others were fronts, silent partners with hidden agendas. These entities work in silence. They buy influence, fund reports, and apply pressure on decision-makers. Their power lies not in visibility but in networks, legal teams, former diplomats, local agents, and financial advisors who know how to secure contracts, draft favorable terms, and move millions without public trace. Local media reported that several Ghanaian officials had been approached with generous, consulting offers. Some were flown out for industry conferences in Dubai and Zurich, events that just happened to coincide with meetings about African resource acquisitions. While there's no confirmed evidence of wrongdoing, transparency advocates grew increasingly alarmed. The pattern was familiar: sudden interest, silent investors, high-level meetings, and then, silence. At the same time, the Ghanaian Stock Exchange saw sudden fluctuations in mining sector stocks. Rumors began spreading that insider trading had occurred, with certain well-connected individuals buying shares in anticipation of foreign acquisitions. The discovery of the gold rock had triggered not just a political reaction but a financial storm. But amidst this economic scramble, one voice remained largely unheard: the Ghanaian people. In rural towns where mining is a daily reality, citizens demanded answers. If this gold is ours, why are we still poor? They asked. Traditional chiefs, community elders, and youth leaders called for a new model, one that put local ownership and environmental protection ahead of corporate profit. In response, several NGOs began pushing for what they called a community profit model, where a percentage of any future profits from the golden rock would be invested directly into local schools, hospitals, and infrastructure. But turning that idea into reality requires political will, and that's where the challenge begins. Ghana's history with gold is long, but not always fair. Colonial powers once extracted gold from the same soil and shipped it abroad, leaving little behind. Later, multinational corporations came with big machines, took even more, and still left mining towns with broken roads and poisoned rivers. Now, Ghana has a chance to do something different. But will it? Pressure from abroad is rising. Financial offers are increasing. The world wants the gold, not just for jewelry or coins, but for what it represents: control. Gold is not just a commodity. In times of economic uncertainty, it becomes a strategic asset. It backs currencies. It anchors power. That's why so many players are trying to claim a stake. The U.S. Federal Reserve, China's central bank, and private wealth funds all increase gold holdings when global risk rises. A rock of this size could sway markets, or disappear into them. And what of the rock itself? No official image has been released since the initial discovery. Some reports claim it's under military protection. Others say it's already been partially refined. A few sources allege it's been quietly moved offshore under a temporary export license. None of these reports are confirmed. What is confirmed, however, is that control of that rock means influence, not just in Ghana, but in global markets. In Part 4, we investigate how African leaders are responding to this pressure. Will Ghana stand its ground, or will this historic find become just another headline, forgotten, mined, and monetized by others? Africa responds. Leadership tested by gold fever. Ghana's monumental gold discovery didn't just shake its own economy, it sent shockwaves across the entire African continent. More than a natural resource, the massive golden rock became a symbol of long-suppressed frustration and awakening. Leaders like Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso were quick to voice their stance. Africa must no longer hand over its wealth to others. What we dig with our hands must serve our own people, he declared, sparking immediate responses across West Africa. Transitional governments in Mali, Niger, and Guinea echoed similar sentiments, calling for a Continental Resource Doctrine, a unified strategy to protect African natural wealth from being controlled by foreign interests. Economists across the region emphasized the need to shift from simply exporting raw materials to building local industries that process, refine, and capitalize on those resources. Back in Ghana, the pressure intensified. Thousands took to the streets of Accra, Kumasi, and Tarkwa in protest. With signs reading "Our Gold, Our Future" and "We Demand Full Disclosure," citizens demanded clarity and fairness. Youth unions, student organizations, and tribal leaders began organizing forums and debates, calling for transparent management of the resource and public accountability. Some demanded public hearings and independent oversight of all deals related to the gold rock. Inside Ghana's parliament, several MPs demanded a formal investigation. A coalition of civil society groups submitted a petition with over 150,000 signatures, calling for full transparency, equitable profit sharing, and a halt to exporting unrefined minerals. Meanwhile, global players moved subtly. Diplomatic envoys and multinational executives increased their presence under the guise of development cooperation. Offers of partnerships, infrastructure investment, and green transition packages were made, most with hidden clauses, according to local watchdogs. Reports began to circulate that foreign companies were quietly securing land near the discovery site under long-term exploration leases. Though legal on paper, many citizens saw this as a new form of soft colonization, masked by investment language. At universities and schools, students held teach-ins and awareness campaigns. "We don't want to be the suppliers of wealth for others while our towns lack electricity and safe drinking water," one student leader declared. "We want our gold to work for us." Traditional leaders added their voices, too. Chiefs from the Ashanti region and northern Ghana reminded the government that the land and its resources belong to the people, not to elites or foreign interests. "Our ancestors protected this soil. It is not for sale," one elder said. Pan-African reactions grew louder. In Kenya, lawmakers proposed a bill requiring full public disclosure for all major mineral discoveries. In South Africa, youth organizations launched social media campaigns demanding a new era of resource nationalism. In Burkina Faso, Captain Traoré announced plans to renegotiate all current mining contracts and redirect royalties directly to local governments. The continent was stirring. Not just with anger, but with vision. A new conversation was emerging, one that questioned past models of exploitation and sought new ways to ensure that African wealth benefits Africans first. But deep concern remained. Powerful interests do not give up easily. Foreign companies have centuries of experience navigating political pressure, shaping legal frameworks, and influencing local elites. Ghana's golden moment could be turned against itself if the people's voice isn't heard. Still, for the first time in years, there's momentum. There's unity. And there's a rising belief that Africa doesn't have to repeat history, it can rewrite it. Whether that happens depends not on foreign aid or foreign deals, but on bold leadership, grassroots resistance, and a shared refusal to let this become just another missed opportunity. The gold has spoken. Now it's Africa's turn. Gold, power, and the future Africa deserves. The dust may have settled over Ghana's historic discovery, but the battle for its meaning is only beginning. What started as the unearthing of the largest known natural gold rock in modern African history has grown into something far more powerful, a reckoning. A confrontation between past exploitation and the possibility of a new, self-determined future. As the world continues to speculate about where the rock is, who owns it, and what it's worth, a deeper truth has emerged: Africa is not just rich in resources. Africa is rich in resilience, voice, and vision. But only if that power is claimed, not outsourced. In the weeks following the gold rock's removal, no official breakdown of profit sharing or public audit was provided. International observers requested transparency. Local activists demanded accountability. But behind the scenes, negotiations continued, quiet, high-level, and far from public eyes. Ghana's decision at this moment will echo far beyond its borders. Will the golden rock become just another item in a long list of exported wealth? Or could it become the foundation of a new economic model, one that places ownership in the hands of citizens, not just investors? Analysts point to global examples. Norway turned its oil into a sovereign wealth fund that today finances healthcare, education, and pensions. Botswana's diamond management remains one of the more successful models in Africa. Could Ghana do the same with gold? Could this rock, more than a symbol, more than a resource, fund scholarships, modernize hospitals, build clean energy infrastructure, and lift rural communities into the 21st century? It's possible. But only if political courage is stronger than foreign pressure. Only if the people's voice is louder than the noise of private jets and offshore accounts. And only if leaders see gold not as a quick transaction but as an investment in generations yet unborn. Meanwhile, across the continent, the ripples continue. In Kenya, lawmakers introduced a bill requiring full public disclosure of any major mineral discovery. In South Africa, youth groups have launched campaigns calling for resource nationalization. In Burkina Faso, Traoré's government declared its intent to revise all existing mining agreements and redistribute royalties directly to local governments. A new narrative is forming, one not built on colonial extraction or corporate contracts, but on dignity, justice, and ownership. And perhaps, this golden rock was the spark. But not all is guaranteed. There are still forces working in the shadows, corporations that thrive on silence, systems built on legal loopholes, and foreign actors who have long seen African minerals as theirs to manage. They will not step back willingly. They will adapt, rebrand, and return. That's why vigilance matters. Why education matters. Why voices from villages to parliaments must stay engaged. Because real power isn't just found in the ground. It's found in the choices a nation makes about what to do with what it finds. The final chapter of this story hasn't been written yet. It's being written now, by lawmakers, journalists, traditional leaders, students, mothers, and miners. And the question they must all answer is simple: will this discovery serve as another lost opportunity, or as the beginning of something greater? One golden rock. One nation's test. One continent's call. The world is watching. But more importantly, Africa is watching itself. And maybe, just maybe, it's ready to rise, not because of what lies beneath its soil, but because of what it believes about its worth. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story moved you, share it. Discuss it. And ask the same question wherever you are in the world: who benefits when natural wealth is discovered? And who should? This isn't just Ghana's story, it belongs to all of us.